Okay, get this. English has been a mandatory subject in Thai schools for over 100 years, a full century. You'd think after all that time, things would be pretty dialed in, right? Well, that's the strange paradox we're diving into today. How can a century of effort lead to such puzzling results? Let's break it down. Just take a look at this chart. It lays out pretty clearly where Thailand stands on English proficiency compared to its neighbors. It's trailing behind Singapore, the Philippines, Malaysia, even Vietnam and Indonesia. The country officially lands in the very low proficiency category. And in a world that's getting more connected by the second, that's not just a small problem, it's a huge gap. And that really brings us to the million-dollar question, doesn't it? After an entire century with English on the curriculum, why are the results still so low? What's really going on here that's holding an entire generation of students back? To figure this out, we have to understand just how deep this puzzle goes. This isn't some recent issue that just popped up. Nope, this is a problem that's been building for a very, very long time. This timeline really puts it all into perspective. I mean, the first records of English being taught go back almost 200 years. By 1921, it was mandatory in schools, and by the 1950s, it was the main foreign language in the whole country's curriculum. So the commitment, at least on paper, has been there for generations. And yet, this is what we get. These are the average national English test scores for students graduating from high school. Year after year, they're consistently scoring below 30 out of 100. And this isn't just a high school problem. Research shows that a staggering 77% of first-year university students are still at a basic A1 or A2 English level. That's the same level you'd expect from elementary school kids. The problem is systemic. So why? What is the root cause of this massive disconnect? Well, it turns out the problem isn't a lack of trying, but a fundamental lack of clarity and coordination right from the very top. Now, this is where things get kind of wild. Researchers found at least 7 different and often conflicting sources of policy for English education. Just imagine trying to build a house, but you've been given 7 different blueprints. One says use brick, another says use wood, a third wants a different foundation entirely. The result is just chaos, leaving schools and teachers to basically guess which rules to follow. And that confusion has a serious, serious domino effect. You can see it right here. When 40,000 Thai English teachers were tested on their own skills, an unbelievable 99.1% were found to be at a beginner level themselves. Let that sink in for a second. The teacher's own English level was often lower than what was expected of their students. I mean, how can students ever get fluent if their teachers are struggling with the language too? You know, this quote from researchers Pornapet Darasawang and Richard Watson Todd just says it all, doesn't it? After digging through all those conflicting policies, their conclusion was blunt and to the point. It's a mess. So, with a century of history but decades of messy policy, where do you even begin to fix it? Well, with the traditional system so tangled up, some innovators are deciding not to wait for a top-down fix. Instead, they're turning to technology to try and leapfrog these old problems entirely. And one of the most interesting players in this space is an organization called Solve Education. They looked at the situation and saw that one of the biggest roadblocks for students is just a lack of motivation. So instead of creating another boring textbook, they built a gamified learning app for your phone. Their approach is actually pretty brilliant. It uses gameplay to keep students hooked, which is half the battle. The curriculum itself is based on the official CEFR framework, that's the international standard, so you know the content is solid. Plus, they made sure it works on affordable phones, even without internet, which is huge for accessibility. And maybe best of all, it gives teachers real-time data to see what's actually working and what's not. And the results? They're pretty tangible. At just one of their partner universities, students learned over 90,000 distinct English concepts through the app. That just goes to show you the massive potential for scale that a digital solution can have, bypassing a lot of the old system's roadblocks. But hey, technology isn't the only answer on the table. Other experts argue that the real solution isn't about new tools, but about fundamentally changing how English is taught inside the classroom itself. This is where an approach called task-based language teaching, or TBLT, comes in. Basically, instead of a teacher standing at the front of the room drilling grammar rules, students work together on a real-world task like planning a trip or solving a puzzle. The whole focus shifts from just memorizing rules to actually using English to get something done. And there's solid proof this stuff works. A study at the University of Fayette put this method to the test. And just look at these numbers. The students' average speaking scores showed a statistically significant jump after learning through the TBLT approach. It helps build real confidence and turns English from this abstract school subject into a useful, practical tool.
Okay, so we've got two very promising but different solutions, one driven by technology and scale, and the other by a radical shift in how we teach. So, what's the right path forward?
When you put them side by side like this, you realize they're not really competing at all. They're actually two sides of the same coin. The tech solution is amazing for grabbing students' attention and reaching huge numbers of people. The classroom solution is fantastic for building that deep, real-world communication skill and confidence. They complement each other perfectly.
And that's the real takeaway here. There is no single silver bullet for this. Solving this century-old puzzle isn't about picking one solution over the other. It's about combining all of them, finally fixing the policy mess, embracing awesome new tools like gamified learning, and empowering teachers with proven, student-focused methods like TBLT. For the first time in a very long time, there are real, proven strategies on the table that go way beyond the old way of doing things. The big question that's left is whether these new tools and new teaching methods can finally come together to solve a puzzle that has stumped a nation for over 100 years.
A big thank you for watching one of Chris's videos. We hope you found it helpful and entertaining. Please support us with a thumbs up and subscribing. I know I had to say it. Don't forget, you can leave feedback in the comments which could be helpful to future viewers. You'll also often find transcripts, captions, and auto-translations here to help you follow along, although you may need to enable them yourself. We look forward to sharing more time with you soon. After all, time is probably one of our most valuable resources in this fast-paced digital AI age. And I do agree with Oscar Wilde, who said, "Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken."